Good morning. Today is Monday. It's Motivational Monday. Thanks for listening to the A to Z for Moms podcast. If this is your first time listening, our weekly podcast lineup is as follows. Motivational Monday, where you kick off the week with inspiration and self-help. Teaching Tuesday is homeschooling insights and educational guidance. Whip It Wednesday is culinary adventures and cooking tips. Parenting Perspectives on Thursday, get advice, stories, and support for parenting. Food Storage Friday, learn about food storage and preparedness. And Money Magic for Moms on Saturday, discover entrepreneurship and ways to make money from home. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or you need some clarification, especially for like some of the parenting podcasts and things like that, or really any of the podcasts, if you have a question, something you want me to cover, go ahead and shoot me an email. It's podcast@a2zformoms.com. So without further ado, let's get into today's show. We're going to be talking about recharging your batteries. Now, every podcast we talk about 4 main talking points. So today we're going to be going over number 1, what charges your batteries, number 2, self-care, number 3, daily habits and routines, and number 4, balance inward and then outward. So let's get going on that. Now, before we really get into it a whole lot, I wanted to share this little meme that I found years ago, and I love it. It really just makes a lot of sense. When a flashlight grows dim or quits working, do you just throw it away? Of course not. You change the batteries. When a person messes up or finds themselves in a dark place, do you cast them aside? Of course not. You help them change their batteries. Some need AA, attention and affection. Some need AAA, attention, affection, and acceptance. Some need C, compassion. Some need D, direction. And if they still don't seem to shine, simply sit with them quietly and share your light. I love that. Such a neat analysis. And I love the comparison of the batteries, the AA, attention and affection, AAA, attention, affection, and acceptance, C, compassion, and D, direction. And it's just I love that. That's so neat. And it's so important to charge our own batteries. Excuse me. So that is something that we're going to talk about. So number 1, what charges your battery? So this is very vital. I think in a lot of today's world, especially for moms, we're give, and we tend to just do so much for other people and give, and we're constantly on the go, and whether we're working or stay at home or both, and there's just, life is busy, life is crazy, and there's a lot of things out there draining our battery, and maybe some things that we don't even realize are draining our battery. And that's why it's so important to allow yourself to recharge. And now, recharging looks different for everybody. Just like there's different love languages, there's different motivators, there's also different ways of recharging your battery. So we're going to go over a few different examples first here. Spending time alone. This is specifically for introverts. In particular, they often recharge by spending time alone. This may involve activities such as reading, reflecting, or enjoying solitary hobbies. This is very true for my husband. Now, my husband's very introverted. I'm an introvert turned extrovert. And so that was really hard for me to learn when we were first together. And he'll go out to the garage and just tinker or just putter around. And he'll organize his tools, or he has a TV out there and he'll listen to that while he just does whatever. And I'll go out there sometimes. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, just whatever. But it's that alone time is what helps him recharge. And introverts need that. For introverts, being around people is draining. And so having that alone time is what recharges them. Now, on the opposite side of that spectrum is socializing with others. That would be your extroverts. So they're the opposite. They get recharged by being around others, socializing, engaging in group activities, spending time with friends and family. That's energizing to them. So to an extrovert, when they're alone, it's draining. They get recharged by being around others. And just like an introvert around others is draining, they get recharged being alone. And so some two contrasting, and maybe you're somewhere in between, and that's okay. And it might be situational and depends on who you're around too, right? Nobody wants to be around a bunch of depressing or angry people. That a lot of times is draining in and of itself. It depends on who you're around. But if you're around uplifting and, positive, happy people, that tends to bring anyone up. Another one would be physical exercise. Physical activity, whether going for a run, hitting the gym, or practicing yoga, are all common ways for people to recharge. Exercise can release endorphins and contribute to a sense of well-being. I know for me sometimes I get that where you should go exercise, but you're like, I'm already tired now. And I'm sore now. I'm not sure using up the little energy that I have is appealing to me, right? To go exercise when you're feeling like you're in your reserves. But sometimes it's actually the opposite. It actually energizes you because of those endorphins, and so you just have to kind of push yourself through, and then you'll feel better at the end. But that is something I totally get that, but then there's some people that they need that every day. They need to exercise every day, or they don't feel good. They don't feel physically as good, or maybe mentally, spiritually, emotionally. They start to get depressed. Whatever it is, their body really needs that. Another thing would be nature and outdoors. Spending time in nature, whether it's hiking, walking in a park, or just enjoying the outdoors, can have some rejuvenating effect on individuals. Again, this is another great one for my husband. He loves to go for hikes, go up in the mountains. He loves to even just go for a drive up in the mountains, and that's rejuvenating for him. For me, we bought this farmhouse a year ago, and it's had lots of remodeling and lots of projects we have to do, and we still have a lot to do. But for me, one of my favorite things, and it's rejuvenating, is to just go sit out on our grass. When we bought this house, it had no grass, and we've put in a lot of grass thanks to my wonderful niece and her husband. They have a landscaping business, so they would give us some of their scraps when they had leftover from jobs, and that has allowed us to put in quite a bit of grass. And I love that. That's like one of my favorite rejuvenating things, is to just go out and sit on our grass and just look at our property and how far it's come. But also, it's exciting to see, okay, what we've done, but also what needs to be done. We'll go out and hold the chickens, or just, walk through the garden, the greenhouse, and get some plans for our next projects we want to do. To me, that's rejuvenating and exciting, because you're seeing the progress. I'm very much a progress person. I like to see the progress, and I don't like to be stagnant, and so I like, that's rejuvenating to me, to check off a list and all that. Creativity and artistic expression. Engaging in creative pursuits such as painting, writing, playing music, or any form of artistic expression can be a source of rejuvenation and relaxation. So again, it doesn't really matter if you're sewing, cooking, woodworking, painting, playing an instrument, whatever. Sometimes that creative outlet can really be rejuvenating. Mindfulness and meditation. Practices like mindfulness and meditation are effective for many in finding a sense of calm and recharging mental energy. I know for me, I discovered years ago, if I just take 15 to 30 minutes a day and just lay down and listen to a meditation, or take a little nap, a cat nap, it really recharges me, and it's like I can tackle the rest of the day. Especially in the afternoon, I start to get mentally exhausted or physically exhausted because you've just been going a million miles an hour. But taking that conscious downtime of okay, we're going to turn off our brain. We're just going to relax. And that really rejuvenates me, I found. And it doesn't take that long. It's not a huge time commitment, but definitely the benefits are well worth it. Reading or watching something. So for some, escaping into a good book or watching a favorite movie or TV show can be a way to unwind and recharge. Now, I would also include with that video games. Some people, especially men, tend to rejuvenate and relax with a video game. And sometimes people just need to zone out. Have you ever had that where you're just like, I want to watch something on TV, but I don't want something that's going to make me think. I don't want something that's I'm going to get too emotionally invested in, right? Like, I just want to zone out a little bit. And that's sometimes you need that. But one thing with that particular one, I would caution is those also tend to be addictive. So I've known a lot of people who just really get stuck into books. And I've been guilty of that, where like you start a book and it's like, it's so good, you have to finish it. And it becomes your priority of you got to get that book done. Nothing else matters till that book's finished. And it's one thing if it's the one book and then you're back to life, but if it's book after book after book like that, that could be counterproductive, right? Same with movies. There's people that just watch movies all the time. Or video games. There's people that just spend their life playing video games. Now, the hard thing about that is you have to remember with charging your batteries is, did you know that a battery that is always fully charged, it actually ruins the battery? Batteries are made to be drained and then charged, drained and then charged. And just like batteries, when we are always doing something relaxing, you never have that contrast. My mom she had a saying that said, doing nothing is the most exhausting job in the world because you can never get a break from it. And that's so true. That's so true. We need the contrast. We need to see that so that we can, it's kind of like you need the good and the bad. That contrast helps us have a level of where we're at. We can't really base our lives on a scale of how, we're feeling good, we're feeling bad. If we have no scale, we have no basis for comparison. So that's something to watch for. Like recharging your batteries and having these things that help you recharge are fantastic. Just don't let them become all you do, right? So they're supposed to be a recharge or a hobby. They're not supposed to be a life thing. Quality sleep is another one. Adequate and quality sleep is essential for overall well-being. It's a fundamental way for the body and mind to recharge. And absolutely, and that's why I said, like, for me, that 15 to 30 minute day meditation or even a cat nap, it makes such a huge difference on my day. But quality sleep at night can make a really big difference. I'm going to share something with you that we discovered quite a few months ago. So my husband, I'm one that I sleep good. My body knows a good thing, right? And we joke about it because it runs in my family. All of my siblings, we're all the same way. When it's bedtime, you lay down and we're asleep within seconds. It's like, and I laugh and I tell my husband, I'm like, don't you tell, like, and maybe it was just the way I was raised. When I lay down, it's like, okay, time for bed. As I sleep, my body's going to heal itself so that I can just wake up all better. Any aches, pains, sickness, whatever, my body's just, it's time for my body to relax and heal itself while I'm asleep. And then you just go to sleep. You tell yourself it's time for bed and you go to sleep. And that's just kind of how I've always been. And I do. I'll if I'm sore, I go to bed. And the next day I wake up and I'm not sore anymore. My body just has healed itself overnight. Now my husband hates that because, well, he's jealous of it, is really what it is. Because he is not one that can do that. It takes him forever to fall asleep. He struggled with restless leg syndrome a lot and toss and turns and then gets up to go to the bathroom multiple times in the night. He's just always tend to struggle sleeping and falling asleep and staying asleep. And mostly it's like his legs, restless leg syndrome, and he'd wake up in the morning and his legs would be sore. And a couple months ago, I came across this video on TikTok, actually, on grounding. And it was so fascinating. And it basically, I'll share the link in this post as well as the YouTube and all that. But the grounding, it basically talks about how our bodies, just like our houses need to be grounded, right? For in case they get struck by lightning or anything like that, our houses are grounded. Well, our bodies are also electrical. And because we wear shoes that have rubber soles and things, that's a conductor, right? That doesn't allow electricity to pass through. So when we're walking around wearing shoes, we're preventing our body from grounding to the earth. And when that happens, it stops a flow of energy, and it causes inflammation in our bodies. And most sicknesses and most pain and things in our bodies is caused from inflammation. And so it's really fascinating. So we watched this little video, and like I said, I'll share the link so you can watch it. And then we ended up getting it's called, now for me, I don't have an issue because I hardly ever wear shoes. That's a secret about me. I hate shoes. I hardly ever wear shoes. So I'm just naturally grounded because I'm not in shoes. I'm naturally grounded. My neighbor's the same way. And it's so interesting. The more I learned about this, it was so fascinating because my neighbor's the same. She's older and hardly ever wears shoes, whereas her husband has a lot, and she's super healthy. Her husband has a lot of health problems, but he always has shoes on all the time. Now, partly is because he's diabetic and things, but it's really fascinating. And the more I got thinking about it, I started looking at people that are always wearing shoes versus go barefoot often, even just around the house or whatever, the difference in health. And it is pretty interesting. It's fascinating. So, but if you're a shoe person, it's not like there's no hope. What there's called grounding mats. And I'll share the link to the one that we got. We purchased 2 grounding mats, and what you do is they come with a special thing that you can test your outlet in your wall, and it'll tell you if your outlet is grounded or not. Now, it doesn't plug into the electricity, so there's 3 prongs. The top 2 prongs are electric, and the bottom one is your grounding. So the plug is just plastic on the electric. There's nothing electric plugged in. It's just plugging in the wall to get the grounding plug. Okay, so because your house is grounded, and it comes with a tester to let you know if that plug is grounded or not. And if it is, you plug this grounding mat in, and then it's just like a little 2.5 by 3 foot mat. And they come in different sizes and things too, but you just put it at the foot of your bed. And my husband, he doesn't like the feel of the mat on his skin, so he puts it right underneath our fitted sheet. And what it does is it grounds you in your sleep, because because that mat is plugged into the grounded outlet. Like I said, it doesn't use any of the electricity, just the grounding part. It's plugged into the grounded outlet, and then it grounds you at night. So it is amazing. We got one of these. We're just like, oh, let's just try it out. This sounds interesting. Let's, why not? And within, I think it took maybe a week, he started noticing his legs didn't hurt anymore. He'd wake up in the morning and his legs didn't hurt. He stopped having the restless leg syndrome at night. He was able to sleep longer and not be woken up with restless leg syndrome. And then, like I said, in the morning he'd get up, and he used to have like his calves clear down from his knees to his feet were sore every morning. And ever since we got the grounding mat, it's not. And we had it for about a month, and I didn't even really ask him for a week or 2. I was like, have you been noticing a difference? He's like, actually, yeah, my legs aren't sore in the morning at all. Well, then after about a month, he went on a guy's trip with my brothers and my dad, and they just 2 nights they were away and at one of my brother's houses, and 2 nights they were away, and he noticed such a drastic difference. He's just like, oh my goodness, because 2 nights of not being grounded at night, and his legs were sore every morning. I mean, it came back like that, and it was crazy. And then that's when he was just like, okay, yeah, this is working. It's pretty awesome. We've had my dad and stepmom, I loaned them mine, and my dad said he didn't notice a big difference, but I don't know how much he actually even used it or tried. But my stepmom she's noticed a big difference. Now for her, she just puts it on the floor in front of the couch, so when they're watching TV, she has her feet on it, and so she gets grounded while they're watching TV or just sitting on the couch. And so it's really neat. So if you're struggling with some quality sleep, but you know that's something that you need to recharge, I would highly recommend get one of these grounding mats. Again, I'll put the link in this podcast description and in the YouTube video description, so you'll have that. Okay, so let's move on. Travel and exploration is another one that sometimes that recharges people. Exploring new places, experiencing different cultures, it can be invigorating and provide a change of scenery. Sometimes that's charging to people. And also, I would say the opposite. If you're always on the go, sometimes staying home is recharging. And I've known people that way. They're like, oh, we just want to be home. I just want to stay home and do nothing, or putter around the house, or, things. And that's recharging. Learning and personal development. Engaging in continuous learning, whether it's taking up a new hobby or acquiring new skills, can be a fulfilling way to recharge. And lastly, acts of kindness or volunteer work. Helping others or engaging in acts of kindness and volunteer work can provide a sense of purpose and fulfillment, contributing to a positive recharge. I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't get some sort of recharge by service. That's just, to me, it's kind of a catch-all that really service is a recharge for everyone. Because it pulls you out of yourself, right? It shifts your focus from yourself and poor me, I'm so tired, I'm so sore, I'm so broke, I'm so this or that, and it pulls you out of that that self-focused and gets you thinking about others. And in turn, it tends to make you grateful for what you have. And so that's another really one. Like I said, I think service is something that's recharging for everybody. All right, so we've talked about what charges your batteries. So now, number 2, let's talk about the importance of self-care. I have a quote here I really, really like. I'm going to share this. Brianna West, and this is a quote from Brianna West. Self-care is often a very unbeautiful thing. It is making a spreadsheet of your debt and enforcing a morning routine and cooking yourself healthy meals and no longer just running from your problems and calling the distraction a solution. It is often doing the ugliest thing that you have to do, like sweat through another workout or tell a toxic friend you don't want to see them anymore, or get a second job so you can have a savings account, or figure out a way to accept yourself so that you're not constantly exhausted from trying to be everything all the time, and then needing to take deliberate, mandated breaks from living to do basic things like drop some oil into a bath and read Marie Claire and turn your phone off for the day. A world in which self-care has to be such a trendy topic is a world that is sick. Self-care should not be something we resort to because we are so absolutely exhausted that we need some reprieve from our own relentless internal pressure. True self-care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It's making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. And that often takes doing the things you least want to do. It often means looking at your failures and disappointments square in the eye and re-strategizing. It is not satiating your immediate desires. It is letting go. It is choosing new. It is disappointing some people. It is making sacrifices for others. It is living a way that other people won't so that maybe you can live in a way that other people can't. It is letting yourself be normal, regular, unexceptional. It is sometimes having a dirty kitchen and deciding your ultimate goal in life isn't going to be having abs and keeping up with your fake friends. It's deciding how much of your anxiety comes from not actualizing your latent potential and how much comes from the way you were being trained to think before you even knew what was happening. If you find yourself having to regularly indulge in consumer self-care, it's because you are disconnected from actual self-care, which has very little to do with treating yourself and a whole lot to do with parenting yourself and making choices for your long-term wellness. It is no longer using your hectic and unreasonable life as a justification for self-sabotage in the form of liquor and procrastination. It is learning how to stop trying to fix yourself and start trying to take care of yourself. And maybe finding that taking care lovingly attends to a lot of the problems you were trying to fix in the first place. It means being the hero of your life, not the victim. It means rewiring what you have until your everyday life isn't something you need therapy to recover from. It is no longer choosing a life that looks good over a life that feels good. It is giving the hell up on some goals so you can care about others. It's being honest, even if that means you aren't universally liked. It is meeting your own needs so you aren't anxious and dependent on other people. It is becoming the person you know you want and are meant to be, someone who knows that salt baths and chocolate cake are ways to enjoy life, not escape from it. Again, that's from Brianna West. I really, really enjoy that. And that, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. That encapsulates self-care. I love how she points out in there how so many people, their perception on self-care is an escape. And it's not, self-care should be a way to enjoy your life, not to escape from it. And if you feel like you always need an escape, then maybe you need to shift some things in your life. I remember years ago when my mom, I had a sister who commonly would say she needed a break. She just needed a break. And I remember as a teenager, because I'm the youngest in my family. I'm the youngest of 9. So I was a teenager, and of course all my siblings are older with children. And I remember my mom saying, "You can't get a break from life." And such wise words that, when my sister would always say, "Oh, I just need a break. I need a break. I need a break." And I mean, I'm sure everybody can relate to that. Everybody at some point or another, it's like you do. You're like, okay, life's been crazy. I need a break. But the difference is you can't just take a break from life. You need to, if you're always feeling like you need a break, you need to shift some things in your life, and you need to do some true self-care, not some escaping, not breaks. You need to shift some of your perceptions, some of your habits, some of the things that you are valuing in your life. If you're always feeling so overwhelmed with your day-to-day, then maybe it's time to shift your day-to-day so it's not overwhelming. But I really loved that when I read that, and I just thought, you know what, that really sums it all up. Self-care is about taking care of yourself, not as a temporary escape, but in a daily habit. It's becoming the person you want to be and creating the life that you want, not the life that looks good on Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook, but the life that you truly want. What is most important to you? And that's one thing I know for me personally. So I have my YouTube channel, and I always tell people I do a lot of stuff. And I try to remember to do videos of some of the stuff I do. But my struggle is I can either do it and get it done, or I can video myself doing it, and then I have to edit it and post it and all that. And sometimes I have the time, and sometimes I'm like, I just want to do it. I don't care if anybody else knows that I got this done or that I did this for this person or whatever. That doesn't matter to me. It's living in the moment and being in the day, and I'm doing it because I want to do it, not because, oh, I think this would be really good on Facebook, or this might make me look really good. That doesn't matter. What matters is how does this affect my life? How does this apply into my life? So anyhow, I really liked Brianna's little monologue, I guess you can call it. This is long. It's a quote, but it's a long quote. So I really like that with self-care. Okay, so we've talked about what charges your batteries, self-care. Let's go on to daily habits and routines. Daily habits and routines. Here's a list of, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 10 daily habits that will change your life. Number 1, 1 hour of exercise. Number 2, drinking 2 liters of water. That seems like a lot, but drinking 2 liters of water. 3 cups of tea. Again, that seems like a lot, but okay. 4 colors on the plate. So when you eat your meal, 4 different colors. 5 minutes of meditation every day. 6 songs that motivate you. If you don't have a motivational playlist, seriously, make one. It's one of my favorites. I listen to it almost, it's like my favorite music playlist, because it is. It's just every song is motivational, and I like that. 7 minutes of laughter. What makes you laugh? Get your 7 minutes of laughter. Watch the funny movies, the clips, talk to a funny friend, or enjoy your time with kids, or reading jokes and whatnot. 8 hours of sleep, reading 9 pages of a book, and listing out 10 reasons to be thankful, or 10 things you're grateful for. So when it comes to daily habits and routines, some that are common and that I would recommend: morning stretch or exercise. Incorporate a brief morning stretch or exercise routine to boost energy levels, improve circulation, and enhance mood. This is definitely one that I need to work on. I always feel better when I stretch and things, but I don't know. I start my day, and I do have a really good morning routine. It just doesn't include stretching or exercising yet. I did talk to my son the other day, and I was like, I used to go to the gym every morning from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. and I loved it, 5 days a week. And it was just that me time. I listened to my music, and I exercised, and I felt so good. And I kind of have gotten out of that habit. So I was just talking about now fitting that into my life again. I need to start doing that, because I really enjoyed it. But even just stretching, chiropractors will tell you all the time, you don't realize how much you can prevent injuries and things just doing a daily quick stretch. Well, it just is so good for your body. Healthy nutrition. So prioritize nutritious meals with a balance of fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. Stay hydrated by drinking an adequate amount of water throughout the day. I mean, that's kind of a common sense thing. I mean, daily habits and routines. If you're eating healthy, you're going to feel healthy. You're going to be recharged. You're giving your body what it needs to function. I mean, that's like trying to drive your car and being like, I don't want to put gas in the car today. I'm going to put in some Kool-Aid. Good luck getting anywhere, because it's probably not going to work. Why isn't it going to work? Because your car runs on gas. It doesn't run on Kool-Aid. And so our bodies are the same way. They need the nutrients, and they need healthy food to function at their prime. And what happens, I don't know if if you, let's say you have your regular car with unleaded gas. Did you know if you put diesel in your car, it might run for a little bit? If you put diesel fuel, the wrong kind of fuel, it might run for a little bit, but you're going to need to change your fuel filter, maybe even your fuel pump, because even though, yes, it's still fuel, it's the wrong kind for what your body needs. And so being in tune with what your body needs, what your nutritional, people think that, oh, I eat salads at McDonald's, that means I'm healthy. Not necessarily. You're using the wrong kind of fuel, or look at the dressings and things like that. Mindful breathing or meditation. Again, that's, like I said, part of my routine is just practice mindful breathing, meditation, promote relaxation, reduce stress, enhance mental clarity. Even a few minutes of deep breathing can make a significant difference. There's a lot of health benefits. One of a really interesting book is the Wim Hof method. I can link that here as well. A little bit of warning: there is some language in the books. It's more of an adult book, and the writer, the guy, he's from, where's he from again? Denmark, I think. Anyhow, he has some neat stuff. It's interesting. He's definitely a hippie, which is funny. It's entertaining to read the book, but so take it with a grain of salt. But he has some really interesting things with breathing techniques and and the ice baths and how they help us physically and spiritually and physiologically, all that. Regular breaks. Take short breaks throughout the day, especially if working or studying for extended periods. Brief breaks help prevent burnout and maintain focus. Just let yourself move around, get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever, do a little jumping jack, run out, walk out and get the mail, whatever it is, and give yourself some little breaks to just stretch and move and then refocus, and you'll find that'll help a lot. Express gratitude. Having a gratitude journal that you write down 10 things you're grateful for every day, that's a great habit to be in, and that will have some long-term effects for sure. It will help you refocus on so many positive things. And if you ever find that you're just like, oh, I'm just feeling like in a slump, start doing that. Start doing your gratitude journal. There's a 28-day gratitude challenge. It's made by the same people that did The Secret. I'll link that as well. And it's a great program, and it just really helps you each day focus on something you're grateful for. Connect with others. So foster social connections by reaching out to friends, family, or colleagues. Social interactions contribute to a sense of belonging and support emotional health. Now I'm going to give you, except don't rely solely on social media as social connections. We need person-to-person, face-to-face interaction. There's actually an energy exchange that happens when you are face-to-face, when you're in person with someone. And one thing is, you have to remember, social media is great, and it's a great way to keep in touch with people that live far away and whatnot, but people are starting to overvalue social media and undervalue in-person time. And people are getting a disconnect, even though they're like, oh, I have 3,000 friends on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but they feel lonely and depressed. It's because they need that in-person time. They need that connection, that real connection, because social media is what people present. They don't always present the reality, and it's a virtual world, and they can present any image that they want. They can make their life perfect. They can pretend to be somebody completely different than what they are. And in person, it's a little bit more genuine. Set realistic goals. Establish realistic and achievable daily goals. This provides a sense of accomplishment and motivation, contributing to positive emotional well-being. One of the things that I do, who is it that, Tony Robbins, I think I might have been where I heard this from years ago, where he said, in the morning when you're doing your routine, you just think of the 3 most important things you need to do that day. That's it, 3. 3 most important things. Whether it's, okay, I need to vacuum the family room, I need to run and grab groceries, and I need to figure out my menu plan for the week. Whatever it is, 3. What are the 3 most important things that you need to do that day? Write those down, and if nothing but those 3 get done, it's a successful day. You just focus on those 3 things. If you don't get them all done, they go to the next day. And so having some realistic goals. Limit screen time. Set boundaries on screen time, especially before bedtime. Excessive screen time, particularly on electronic devices, can impact sleep quality and emotional well-being. It's actually part of the lights and how our eyes are affected by the lights. And sometimes it gets your mind, your wheels turning in your mind, and then you're like, it's hard to settle your mind down and to stop thinking, because you're just processing all this information. You'll sleep better though. They say an hour before bed. Don't have any screens on an hour before bed, and you'll sleep better. Quality sleep. Prioritize sufficient and quality sleep by maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. A good night's sleep is crucial for both physical and emotional health. Having that daily routine of a sleep schedule, and your routine, when you get out of bed, these are the things you do. When you go to bed, these are the things you do. And having that routine and a schedule is actually, our bodies want that. Especially if you have little kids, that's vital. I'm very much on routines and habits, good daily habits, and that kids need that, and they thrive in that kind of environment. Journaling or reflection. This kind of would go along with your gratitude journal, but take a few minutes each day for journaling or self-reflection. This can help you process emotions, identify patterns, and promote some self-awareness. So those are all some daily habits and routines that can help you. All right, so we've talked about what charges your batteries, self-care, daily habits and routines. Last but not least, we're going to talk about balance inward, then outward. So taking care of yourself inward allows you to then share the love outward, right? So there's an analogy, and I love this. I use this, and I use it with my kids all the time. The difference between rivers and ponds. If you think about a river's always flowing, not to be all Pocahontas on you, but the river's always flowing, always changing, right? A river, it's always flowing, it's always changing, and they're clean. It's got clean water because it's just always moving. And if you're up in the mountains and you're hiking, your odds of getting, if you need water to drink, you definitely want to go for a river versus something that's stagnant like a pond. Because you think of a pond, when the water's stagnant, what happens to it? It grows bacteria, it grows algae, it grows moss. When you have stagnant water, it slows the molecules down, and it allows them, when something is slowed down, it allows for undesirable things to hop on. If you think of like a merry-go-round at your school playground, I don't know how many can relate to that, but do you remember the merry-go-round? You hop on and you get it going as fast as you can. Good luck hopping on once it's going, right? But as it slows, and sometimes actually as it's going really fast, you actually fly off. And so it's hard to stay on. But as the merry-go-round slows and then stops, it allows for people to hop on, okay? So you have your molecules are kind of the same way. The slower, when there's no movement, it allows for germs, bacteria, things, you just figure all those undesirables to hop on. When it's moving and flowing, those things can't hop on, they can't stick. And if they can't stick, they can't grow. Your algae, your moss, your bacterias, all that kind of stuff, it can't grow. So in stagnant places, and this applies to us, okay, this applies to us. When our lives are stagnant is when we tend to feel the worst. When we're stagnant, when we're not progressing, when we're not doing anything, when we're just focused on ourselves, that's when we feel the worst, because there's no flow of energy. There's no flow of anything. Everything's like a pond. You're just collecting it, and it's just staying there doing nothing, which means it's going to fester. It's going to grow the moss, the mold, the whatever. And versus a river. How does a river work? A river, where it's always flowing, there's some coming in, some going out. It's receiving, it's giving. It's receiving, it's giving, right? And that when our lives are that way, we're receiving because you can't give from an empty river, right? If there's no water in the river, it can't really give anything. We're receiving and we're giving, and you're keeping that flow. This applies to money. This applies to health. This applies to energy. This applies to physical stuff, to spiritual. It's a really universal concept, and I really love the pond versus river concept. So just a pond that doesn't share becomes toxic. Basically, it becomes undesirable. It becomes eventually where things can't live, for a long period of time. You look at another good example is the Dead Sea. So the Dead Sea has such a high salt content, and they were saying basically with the Dead Sea, water never left it. It would just come and then evaporate eventually. And so you had this toxic water that was such a high salt content, nothing could survive. And versus, the Nile, for example, the Nile River is one of the most fertile rivers ever, and it's always flowing and all these things. So I love that concept. And how can we apply that with recharging our batteries? It is important to recharge our batteries, but don't spend so much time recharging your batteries that you never use it. Like I said, you got to drain that battery too. And it's okay to charge your battery, drain it, charge it, drain it. Allow yourself to give to others. Help share that energy, share that those things that you have, that the light, just like in our first poem, if they still don't seem to shine, simply sit with them quietly and share your light. Share your light with somebody else who's got a drained battery. Help them find ways that can help recharge them. And so that's so important to have that balance of inward and then outward. Let that flow continue, because otherwise it's so counterproductive. If you're always charging your battery, it kind of all ties back in together, right? You're never allowing yourself to have that flow, and you're just so many things, your daily habits, routines, and your self-care, you're focused on the escape rather than the life changes. Compliment others, serve others, share your time, your resources, your energy, your love. All those things are things that you can share. So inward and then outward, right? We want to be rivers, not ponds. Okay, so today we've talked about what charges your batteries, self-care, daily habits and routines, and balancing inward and then outward. Excuse me. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. As always, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, podcast@a2zformoms.com. And you can listen to this podcast and all my podcasts on all of the major podcast platforms, as well as if you want to watch my facial expressions and hand gestures, you can watch me on YouTube at my YouTube channel, A2Z for Moms Like Me. You can also follow me on TikTok, A2Z for Moms Like Me. And again, go to the website, a2zformoms.com, and that'll have all the podcasts, a lot of the resources and things that I talk about and share. And be sure to check out some of the links below. I'll share my affiliate links, which I totally appreciate if you click on those. I don't make a ton of money, but it's nice, hey, have a little pocket change here and there. But I hope you have a fantastic week, and remember all these points we talked about on recharging your battery. Have a great Monday, and I will see you tomorrow.